If you're a business leader looking to replace human labor with OpenAI, either don't absolutely do that, or do it and then call me when you've broken and I'll come in and fix it. Either of those is cool. Oh, you're familiar with the Eliza Effect?
I am not.
No.
So Eliza was one of the very first chatbots in the 60s. So you can imagine how technologically sophisticated that was. And the Eliza Effect is named after people's desire to believe that Eliza was alive, was intelligent, because they acted. It acted like the way you would expect a human to act. So it was impossible for most people to not impute intelligence to that. So this is just 60 years on. People haven't learned that lesson. With ChatGPT, I think it's going to be a combination of cranking up the prices. Once you've laid off all of your copywriters, then you have no choice but to go to OpenAI for your, your Amazon sales copy or whatever the heck they're using to replace it. So it'll be a combination of market capture and vendor lock-in there. All of these large language models, which they're calling AI, and which I insist in a very stronger way, absolutely not AI, because there's no intelligence there. Intelligence, by any means definition, includes the development of skills and processes and the knowledge to apply them, like an awareness of what's going on. And that is something that is completely absent from LLMs, because LLMs are just autocomplete on steroids. That's it. They are trained on internet scale text sets to work out, given a set of inputs, what is the next most likely input. So they will read, 400 results of a bar exam, and so that they will know that if you given a set of questions, and a question is part of the sequence of text that they're following, they will be able to do a very, very good impersonation of a human producing a variant of that text, to the point where they can pass the bar exam. But they're not a lawyer, which is proved by the fact that somebody tried to use them as a lawyer and is now I believe they're going to go to jail. Like, the judge is extremely unimpressed with this whole using ChatGPT to write briefs thing. People talk about how the risk is that they hallucinate facts. I take exception to that as well, because they don't have a concept of a fact, because they don't have any concepts. If they hallucinate facts, they also hallucinate the things they get correct as well, because everything is just, it's over par. And just sometimes it's accidentally truthful, and the other times it's accidentally not truthful. But there's no qualitative difference between the two. And if you're interacting with one and you challenge one on this hallucination, 50-50, they'll just double down on it. Like, if you're talking to them about yourself and it tells you that you were a criminal or a very famous author of a paper, and you say, absolutely not, that's not the case, they will say, no, it's happening, you must be wrong, I don't know why you're lying to me. I don't think we can talk about this anymore. It's violating my ethical programming. Like, you have no ethical programming. They are cool things. Like, as a piece of technology, are very cool. We've got great at using distributed computing systems to create models that we train on extremely large amounts of data, and handling large amounts of data is a discipline in itself, and I'm very impressed with it. Right now, a lot of people at work are asking me the questions that their clients are asking them. Like, should we consider this? Should we become expert in this? Should we replace some of our copywriters with this? Should we replace it for our internal knowledge base? And the answer to all of those questions is a resounding no, for fairly self-evident reasons. Like, if you're going to be selling your services, when you tell people lies based on your internal knowledge base, having told you lies about what your company does, you're going to get into legal trouble, so don't ever consider it. But people are just, one of the reasons it's replacing crypto in general is crypto was kind of hard to explain the benefits to people. Whereas with large language models, it's much easier to convince people of value of it, because everybody can interact with it. You can just show it to them, and they go, oh my God, this is really, really cool. And because it's playing into a human weakness, our desire to anthropomorphize things. Like, I anthropomorphize my cat. My cat doesn't hate me. My cat has no opinion. My cat has a wristwatch, and you're telling me now it's time for feeding, but she has no opinions of it. When we do that with computers, there was the Google engineer who was utterly, utterly convinced that Lambda had achieved sentience. And then they fired him because it's autocomplete and it's not sentient. And they know that. But The people that are being shown ChatGPT by all the people who have pivoted from Bitcoin to AI don't know that. They were impressed by it. They're, laying off their copywriters and they're having their lawyers write their briefs. I really want to see somebody go for jail for that. Like, we should get together and have a celebratory alcohol-free cocktail the first time a lawyer goes to jail for contempt for doing that.
I'm in.
Yeah. But taking having the minor rant out of the way, as I was saying earlier, like my currency, my stock in trade is understanding failure. And this is just exciting for me in some ways because it's an absolutely huge and epic new field of ways that people are going to fail spectacularly and explosively. I'll be able to be in 3 or 4 years' time, explain why they failed explosively, why they should have known they were going to fail explosively, and so on and so forth. But it's also just comedy. It's just comedy gold all the way down. And Emily Bender, as I was saying, calls it a stochastic parrot, which is possibly the best turn of phrase for anything. Really, it's like, parrots are brilliant. Parrots are amazing creatures. Parrots have relationships with us, but they don't understand what they're saying. And that's the thing about AI. AI comes with an understanding, not just the ability to fake understanding. So we should probably run like a little, I was thinking like having a wheel behind me. I've got some nice art behind me now. But I was thinking of like a Wheel of Fortune type wheel, about like spin the wheel and work out possible routes from the decision we're making now to that catastrophic corporate failure. Because I genuinely can't think of expressing to these really people who ought to know better than like the top 2% of people in their field. And they come along going, yeah, we're going to replace our script writers with AI. Like, really? Have you read any of that stuff? So that's my big rant about, stochastic parrots, autocomplete on steroids. Like, all AI is mostly shit. I work with it daily, and it's really good at some very, very small things. I'm trying to think of like literally anything I can tell you about that wouldn't be violating.
That's what I was going to ask. I was like, we've talked about how crappy it is. There are a few places that I use it practically. I use it practically, honestly, just when I'm writing. My brain will get stuck and I'll be like, I want to say this. Tell me how to say this. When you know what you want.
When you know the subject matter that you are writing on, kind of thing.
Yeah, so when you want, what you want is a really good autocomplete. Having a really good autocomplete is really handy. And it works kind of like a thesaurus as well. It's like in some ways it's an okay companion editor for prose, but people have been using it for code as well. And oh God, it's shockingly persuasive, but also it fails review more times than human fails because it comes riddled with errors or code copied straight out of something with an MIT license, but it obviously doesn't come and tell you that it's supposed to have an MIT license. So it's a liability minefield. It gets you through the first pass. Like, it helps from a code point of view. It helps a junior engineer spit out code faster, but that code fails review more than if they'd done it themselves slower. It may get better at that, but the way they train models like that, like, it doesn't know what it's writing. It just says, like, you train them by saying, right, here's 10 words. I'm removing this word in the middle, or I'm removing this stanza in the middle. What should be there? And if it gets it right, you reinforce that in the learning model. If it gets it wrong, you adjust the model. So it's got no ability to know what it did wrong because it's no ability to know anything because it's not intelligence. Again, it's just, I use VS Code finally after being browbeaten to it because I can use it on my iPad because I can't use Sublime Text on my iPad. And there's a little language server for almost every language we use that has more like common autocompletes. Like, it knows, given this resource, what my possible arguments are. So if I type the first letter, it's going down a list of 30 things and says, okay, I've seen you do this 10 times before, and 7 times out of those 10, you picked an EBS volume to attach. So I'm going to assume when you type E, that's what you want rather than EFS. And that's pretty good. It's just better versions of that. So if it's autocomplete helping a human do stuff faster, it's got a function. If it's doing the stuff instead of a human, I think your quality control is going to lose you as much time as anything else. Do you feel like it's like qualitatively improved your pace or just made it less annoying to work? Like, is it removing toil for you, Cami?
It is curing the blank page syndrome. That's all it's doing for me.
Okay.
Because when I look at it, and 9 times out of 10, I use 3 words that it gave me. But I suffer from blank page syndrome significantly. And oftentimes that is the one, like, it's no longer a blank page, and I can be pissed off because it's such shit that the ChatGPT fed out to me that I'm like, okay, I'll keep this, and oh my God, and then I can use that to start writing again, which is really fantastic.
Gotcha. So in that way, it functions kind of like the oblique strategies pack of deck cards. You know that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a useful function. I get that. Okay. So there you go. 2 useful things it does.